All right, folks. Well, we apologize about all the inconveniences. That certainly wasn't part of the plan, but hopefully the eighth and final game will go uninterrupted here at the 2016 Intercollegiate Singles Championships. The ladies qualifying already in the books. Game 8 just underway. We're joined by Corey Schultz of Morehead State, James Rutledge of Nebraska, and Nick Krummel of Wisconsin Whitewater up on lane 25 and 26. This is Aaron Smith alongside Emil Williams Jr. Once again, we apologize about the inconvenience. We had to reboot the internet here on site. But hopefully we can get through this last game with no issues. Thanks for running over to this new event and joining us. A little more excitement than we planned on. All right, a slight adjustment to the camera here so we can get a little bit extra bowling going on. Over on 27 and 28, we have Armando Villa of St. John's, joined by Nick Eckert and Ben Pilardi. Eckert from Calumet, Pilardi from Lindenwood. We saw them kick things off today, once again making it all the way back. Still our main featured pair. Nick Krummel from Wisconsin Whitewater, Corey Schultz, Morehead State, and James Rutledge from Nebraska. Ladies standings through 8. Verity Crawley, a big 279 in the finale, is our overall leader. She'll get a 2-round bye, along with Julia Bond, Stephanie Sheridan, and Morgan Brown will be our top 4 on the women's side. Crawley, that 279 got her to 1781. Julia Bond from Nebraska in second, 1719. Then a pretty sizable drop off. Sheridan in third with 1618. Morgan Brown in fourth, 1616. The 4 ladies getting a 1-round bye. Catherine Mayer of St. Ambrose, 1604 in fifth. Stefania Cobo from Wichita State in sixth. 1593, Emily Eckhoff, our defending champion from Hastings, in seventh. 1576, and Stephanie Schwartz, the last to get a first-round bye. Bounced back nicely after some struggles. Ended with 258 and 257 to get to 1557. So we also have standings for the men through 7 games. Saw a question about Kenny Smith. Is correct, he had 155 in game number 7. Currently sitting in 22nd overall. Joshua Anderson still leading from St. Ambrose with a 15-20, pretty sizable lead over the field. Stephen Cowland of Wichita State moving up the standings into second with a 14-37. Brandon Runk, from William Patterson in third with a 14-36. Dallas Leong in fourth, 14-32. Nick Crummell in fifth, 14-27. Daniel Hansen from Robert Morris and Darren Tang from San Jose State tied for sixth at 14-25. Mika Walker in eighth, 14-24. And Matthew Russo, the first one out of that top 8 for a bye, in ninth, 14-10. AJ Chapman 2 pins behind to round out the top 10 with 14-08. Once again, you can find this information and more at bowl.com/ISC. As Crummell delivers the mixer, the 5th for his first strike. Mondovia stepping up over on lane 28. Usually 3, 6, 10. As striking the first. 3 spares in a row after that. That was his 5th frame. Nick Eckert takes care of the single pin. He had a spare 3-bagger and now a 9 spare in the 5th. Ben Pilardi has gone spare, strike, open, and a strike in the 4th, looking to make it a double in the 5th. Emil Williams Jr., your sound is on, and that was a little more excitement than we bargained for, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, unfortunately, but sometimes those things happen. We appreciate those who have made their way again to the new event. Of course, we will have match play for you after the break as well. So I know some folks were looking forward to seeing Game 7 and had a lot of Kenny Smith love in the chat room. So again, apologize to the Seminole fans that were in the chat room, but thanks for sticking with us. The women have completed their 8 games, as Aaron has certainly mentioned. So they are off and about. Men trying to do the same thing, but not before maybe some fireworks, a couple highlights before match play in a few hours.
Once again, that's scheduled to start right around 2 Eastern here on Bowl TV. So don't go too far. We're going to assess some of the issues that went on as well. And big thanks to Brent Bowers and the staff here at North Rock Lanes for quickly getting the internet provider here on the phone as soon as we started having these internet difficulties, and hopefully we're good to go the rest of the way out. Still got a few frames here before we're all said and done for this qualifying block. Once again, everyone will advance to match play. Just a matter of some folks getting a first round bye, second round bye, depending on the field. So for the men's side, the top 8 will get a 1 round bye. They have a 24-player field. For the ladies, the top 4 in the rankings will get a 2 round bye. Those in 5th through 8th place will get a 1 round bye. And then everyone else will be going in the opening round. We'll have 3 rounds today to determine who our semifinalists are, and that show, of course, will be on tape delay on CBS Sports Network in May. But today's match play, single elimination, features 3 game matches, so total pinfall will determine who makes it onto the next round, and unfortunately who's going home. So it's a one and done, no elimination or contenders bracket, whatever you prefer to call it. So nobody necessarily out of it after the 8 games of qualifying here. Just a longer road for some. They have struggled in qualifying. But they get to see the same pattern a little bit later today.
I think that will be the most interesting part, especially for probably round 1 and 2, just to see some of the adjustments made from the respective players after getting, obviously, the first taste of the pattern. Bowling a couple games early, and I'm talking about, on the fresh, and remembering what to do, what they didn't like, what they did like, and how to combat that early to prevent elimination. I know for me, just from watching, something that certainly tamed the back end down on the fresh, I think would certainly help. Saw that a little bit early from a few players, just ball reaction, violent off the fresh pattern, so something a little tame. The use of surface. Look at A.J. Chapman down there on lane 30. He started slow this morning at 164, 153, and then 209, 211, 214, 213. Pretty consistent there, and then 244. The last game to currently sit in 10th.
Yeah, has moved up quite a bit. We saw him struggle a ton in game 2 here on Bowl TV, and has bounced back nicely. And I think he had that ball reaction you were talking about, where it was a little bit too much over and under for the early going, but he's made the right moves and has at least given himself a chance to get a first round bye now.
Yeah, I think, and that's, you mentioned what right now what the focus is for, that top 8. You can get into that area there, get yourself a buys. But then there's the old adage, of course, where some people may think a buy is necessarily a disadvantage, and that just kind of depends on who you ask.
Yeah, certainly different from person to person, and some folks, once they get going, want to keep going. Other ones will take advantage of the rest, and just the wear and tear of 8 games already in the books plus practice. Yeah, first round bye, just you get a little bit longer lunchtime here. Maybe a chance to get out of the bowling center for a little bit versus quicker turnaround. A lot of cheers for AJ taking advantage of the hometown support. Tenth frame underway here on 25 and 26. Nick Crummel looking to come back from way downtown. The second shot doesn't make it all the way back, leaves the bucket. He can convert for 175. Corey Schultz in the books at 192. James Rutledge can still get to 202 with 3 more. Armando Villa from St. John's delivers a strike to kick off his 10th frame, can get to 189. Nick Eckert from Calumet has a fill ball left. He'll be stepping up in a second here. Get to 218. Ben Pilardi working on a double. Still has 218 out there with 3 strikes. Mr. Williams, I think since we'll be just about done here on 25 through 28, we'll push the camera a little bit further since they're a few frames behind on 29 and 30. So we'll get a final look of Dallas Leong, Stephen Collin, and AJ Chapman as they finish up. We'll get some bonus bowling here since we have the difficulties with the stream. So we'll let James finish up here and we'll move the cameras. James, nice 9th and 10th to finish things out for qualifying. 202 to lead the pair.
Moving the cameras there. Again, trying to give you a little extra of what we can. There's Ashton Maxwell off in your screen there. Yezel. AJ Chapman in your viewing area.
This is the 9th frame for them, and that is 4 through the nose. AJ was working on a strike there, so doesn't lose the count, but still had a chance to go 234 up until that. Dallas Leong was working on 2 strikes in a row for himself there. Jacob Yazel with a big finish. Looks like he shot 260 on the nose. So this pattern definitely coming to these players here at the end. Stephen Collins working on 4 in a row as he gets ready for the 10th frame. He'll be up on lane 30. Not before AJ Chapman steps up here, looks to convert the 3, 4, 6, 9, 10.
Known as S4. And almost.
And the one pin I forgot to say, the 7 is the only one he didn't make. So that was my bad right there. It was, I would have said they spare correctly. Good effort, but that drops AJ's max score to 202. Here's Colin, first shot of the 10th. Looks like he's going to be pretty good for that first round break. Sitting in 2nd overall heading into this final game. Probably not going to catch Josh Anderson unless he had some struggles, but.
You know, thinking about the buy, Aaron, and just knowing your game, or you mentioned, those who may have struggled a little bit on the fresh. If you can get that buy, have a couple games bowled on a particular pair, then essentially you get to the pair after a few games where you probably already have an idea of what you would want to do. That could certainly help some bowlers as well.
All right, so double in the 10th. Colin can get to 248 with one more. Dallas runs just a tad high, leaves the 4. Can max out at 182 now with the conversion and a strike on the fill.
Would have liked to have seen where Dallas played in the early portions of the event. Looks like he should remain in a position for a bye, although pretty close, that 8th spot. Just a few pins separate, but once he got to the featured pair, or at least on the featured pair, he was the furthest in. I ain't saw any competitor thus far. And able to wheel the lane a little bit on 25 and 26. Last 3 games, 225, 220, 202 for Dallas. Spare here in the 10th. Strike with him at 182 and a good shot from Chapman. Grab 10.
Standings are so tight from 2nd to all the way to 12th. There's only 43 pins separating everybody. So anything could happen. One big game. As we mentioned, even Jacob Yazel shot 260. He was, how many was he at? He was 50 plus out, so who knows? That might be enough to sneak him into a first round bye. 180 finish for Dallas. He was at 1432 coming into this game, so we'll drop him to plus 12 overall. Max score now for AJ 192, and then we're going to, I think everything else is just about done. Kenny Ryan finishing up. And then we got bowling way down there in the high end here of this 48 lane facility. So we'll finish up here. One final shot from AJ Chapman, and then we'll start preparing for match play. Once again, you can check out bowl.com/ISC to see a look at the top 24 standings. You may have to refresh your browser as Chapman finishes up with 192. But that's going to do it. So qualifying in the books here on Bowl TV. We'll be back around at 2 p.m. Eastern for the first of 3 rounds of single elimination match play. 3-game sets, total pinfall advances here at the 2016 Intercollegiate Singles Championships here from North Rock Lanes in Wichita, Kansas. So that's going to do it for us now. We're going to get some lunch. We'll be back soon, so don't go too far. This is Aaron Smith He's Emil Williams Jr. We'll be right back on Bowl TV. Thanks again for tuning in. Once again, match play coming up 2 Eastern here on Bowl TV. Thanks again.